Welcome back to the Deal Mastery Insider. Today we're going to talk about due diligence. Now, due diligence is a really important topic. It's one that some folks don't find as interesting or exciting, but it's really critical. And I'm going to try to break it down and give you a really simple and straightforward way of thinking about and understanding due diligence so that when you're doing deals, you can approach it and know what the big puzzle pieces are as you look at stuff. So we'll dig into due diligence. As always, here's a disclaimer. Just make sure you're doing your homework. Don't skimp on this. Hire the right advisors, etc. Especially when you look at diligence, you really don't want to be cutting corners. So what is due diligence? Let's talk about this, right? Due diligence is the comprehensive investigation and analysis of the buyer of a business to assess the value, risk, and potential issues of the target company before they acquire it. The purpose is to make sure that you're making an informed decision about the company's finances, its operations, its legal structure, any other risks, and there might be specific things like environmental or tax due diligence that you want to make sure you look at depending on the company and the deal. But it's really all about minimizing risk and uncovering any hidden skeletons in the closet or landmines or challenges that the deal might have lurking in the shadows that you wouldn't have known about if you hadn't really popped the hood and taken a very thorough look. So what are some of the key areas of due diligence? There's a couple areas of focus. One is financial review, right? This is examining the financial statements, the cash flows, the bank statements, the accounting practices of the business, and all things that are kind of financially related. The next is the operational assessment. This is all about evaluating the business's operations, its processes, its infrastructure, and how the value is created, how customers are served, how the processes in the business flow, all of these different things. Then we've got the legal examination, which is really about contracts, legal compliance, any potential liabilities the business may have had in the past or could potentially have in the future. And we've got market analysis, right, which is really all about the competitive position of the company. Who are they competing against? What's their market position? If we think about, Michael Porter's 5 forces and understanding the demand dynamics, the growth opportunities, the trends in the industry, that's really what market analysis is all about, is the big macro picture of where this business sits in the market as a whole. And the goal of diligence, again, is to double, triple, quadruple check everything, right? And oftentimes, you're going to be bringing in external experts to validate a lot of this stuff. It's also possible to generate some leverage in a deal by finding or uncovering challenges that you can then use to get a better negotiating position, though that can be somewhat nefarious. I typically try not to do that in deals that I work on. But if you uncover things in diligence that are problematic, then you may want or need to re-examine parts of the deal structure that you come across. So let's look at, these are some of the big buckets. Let's look at these in a different way, because I think this is a really helpful way of looking at who are the key players or resources you might want to bring to the table as you're looking at due diligence for a given deal, right? So if we look at these big buckets, we've got financial review. Who's going to be doing that? A lot of times that will be doing what's called a quality of earnings report, or a proof of cash, or there's lots of different elements that could be associated with that. But oftentimes you'll hear the term quality of earnings or Q of E. That's usually going to be an accounting firm or a CPA firm, a third-party company that you bring in to review all of the books, records, cash flows, bank statements, that kind of thing, and say, hey, we think this is legit, or hey, here's some real issues and challenges that we discovered. The next is going to be operational assessment. This one is the most company specific, right? If you're doing a quality of earnings, a CPA firm doing a Q of E on a manufacturing business or a tech company or a distribution business, it's going to be the same financial work of reviewing bank statements and financials and so forth. Operational assessment is going to be really unique to each individual business. And there's 2 big ways I think about doing operational assessment when I think about diligence. One is finding industry experts who know the space super well and getting their opinion and perspective on risks, challenges, the company, the way it does business, its market position, etc., and getting their feedback. And then the other, which is really irreplaceable, is just boots on the ground assessment, being in the business, spending time at the facility with the team, talking to customers, getting a real understanding of what goes on day to day in the operations of the company. There's really no better way to do that than to actually be boots on the ground and do it yourself. Next, we've got the legal examination. In most cases, this will be your M&A attorney. If the company has a lot of intellectual property, you might bring in somebody like an IP attorney or a specific attorney who has an expertise in a particular area that might be really relevant for that business, where there's some legal questions or some legal diligence that needs to happen. You might also have market analysis. You'll find tons of market research firms out there who will go and do an assessment of the business and its competitors and put a whole report together about growth trends and the trajectory and what's going on in the space. You can also get similar insights from talking to industry experts about what they're seeing in the industry, what they think about the particular company, what trends, opportunities, threats, etc. exist. And then oftentimes you'll also have specialized diligence. So this could be things like maybe tax diligence. Now that might be under financial review, or that might be the company had some tax issues in particular you really want to drill down on. Could be HR diligence. If there's some HR things you want to really make sure that you're squared away on. Could be technology diligence. If there's certain things about the tech package or the IT or the security infrastructure that you really want to understand. Could be environmental diligence. If the business has some environmental exposures, you want to make sure there's no lurking liabilities on that front. All of these are different areas where you might have specialized diligence needs, and you want to bring in an expert who really understands that particular thing to provide an opinion so that you can feel much more assured about the potential downsides and risks associated with that. The budget for due diligence can vary dramatically, right? And this gives you a sense. I mean, it could be as low as $10,000 or $20,000 if you're really cherry picking and being really parsimonious about the allocation of specific resources, or it could easily run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars for big institutional private equity type deals. And a lot of times it'll land somewhere in the middle. Again, depends wildly on how many third-party vendors you bring in, what kind of research you're doing. But legal alone could be $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, or it could be over $100,000. Financial diligence could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, or it could be over $100,000. So it can vary tremendously by the caliber and the quality of the firm that you bring in, the scope and the complexity that needs to be handled, and all kinds of different things. And even for specialty diligence, it could easily run $10,000, $20,000 per vendor that you bring in. It's not uncommon for larger institutional private equity firms to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on due diligence and then walk away from a deal. Now, these broken deal expenses can be really punitive if you're a smaller business owner or an individual buyer or sponsor who's looking to do deals. And so sometimes you'll be more tactical and thoughtful about how you allocate some of those dollars. But this is a really good estimate of what sort of the low end expenditure may be for due diligence up to what you could spend if you were really going all out for all the bells and whistles and the fancy resources. So hopefully this gives you a sense of the fundamentals of due diligence. What are the big buckets? What are some of the potential expenses associated with that? And it's a really important thing you need to understand. As you're looking at deals, you're going to want to conduct diligence. Hopefully this is a helpful guide as you think through some of the elements of diligence on deals you're looking at. If you have questions, if you ever need a referral to a particular resource, I have a whole Rolodex of diligence vendors, which I'm happy to connect you with. Just let me know. But hopefully this has been helpful, and I will see you on the next episode of the Deal Mastery Insider.